today's video I am going to be talking about intermittent reinforcement and how it creates trauma bonding in relationships. My name's Rachel and my website is feelingishealing.co.uk. So in this video I'll be asking what is intermittent reinforcement, looking at how it creates trauma bonds, and I'll also be giving 5 tips on how to break the trauma bond, as well as one thing not to do. So let's get started. What is intermittent reinforcement? This term was coined by B.F. Skinner in his theories on operant condition and behaviourism, and he did some experiments with mice where they had to press a lever, and when they pressed the lever they would get some food, and so every time they pressed the lever they would get the food, and that is called continuous reinforcement. So you know that the action that you do is going to match up to a particular result, it's predictable. And he also did the same, he changed it so that when they pressed the lever they didn't get anything. And also that is another predictable situation, because you know that when you press the lever there's nothing there. But what he found, which was very striking, was that he then did it when sometimes when the I don't know if it's mice or rats actually, when they pressed the lever they got the food, but sometimes they didn't, and it was unpredictable. And the very striking thing about that was that the animals became absolutely obsessed with pressing the lever. So they and they even neglected their own self-care for just pressing this lever to try and get this result, which they were only getting at intermittent intervals. So where do we see this in day-to-day life? Obviously it does happen in abusive relationships. It also is what is going on in gambling. So if you're going to a slot machine, you might win some money and you get a shot of dopamine, and so what happens is the dopamine's quite quick acting and it's short lasting hormone, so you want to keep going and getting back and getting more. So it's real chemical drive that is driving people to do that. And one which we see in much more modern day society is social media. So for example, you might put up a new picture, and what you might find is that you get a lot of likes in quite a short amount of time, quite quickly, and so you get that rush again of dopamine. And then what happens is then they'll make it in such a way that the people liking it comes up intermittently. So I don't know if you have noticed that in yourself, that you keep going checking, and then sometimes you'll get the likes and sometimes you won't. So it's very unpredictable, and that actually does make it very addictive. You get that inner chemical drive to do something. And this is really quite an important topic for modern day, because when you're face to face with someone and you're spending a lot of time with them, rather than dopamine, which is quick and short lasting, you actually get oxytocin, which is a bonding hormone, which is a lot longer lasting. So it's a lot more organic. But in today's society everything is about quick fix, and the thing with that is you keep needing more and more quick fixes, because otherwise it's like up and down, keep needing to go back up again. So yes, this does happen in it's particularly pointed in abusive relationships, because you might be going along about your life and you meet this person who kind of and then you get the love bombing, where it seems like the person is a soulmate, and you get in this you're up like this, you've got the dopamine, and then all of a sudden, unpredictably, the person might show what you might call as their true colours, where they might do something to hurt you or to betray your trust, or really show a different side of your character, and so you go back down. but as anyone who's been in an abusive relationship will know, that person is more than likely, after however long the time is, unpredictable, they'll come back and they'll shower you again with some lovely, words and gestures that will bring you back up like this. So the thing about that is, you think, who is it that has brought you down from here back up to here again? It's actually the abuser. So what happens is, subconsciously, is that we're associating the abuser with a person who is relieving us from being right down here. And so just like the animals did in B.F. Skinner's experiments, we too become obsessed with how do we get back up here. So we get obsessed with this person. And the other rather sort of worrying thing about this is that disturbing, I think is the word, is that because we start thinking, just like the animals frantically, obsessed with pushing this lever, we start thinking, well, we must have some control over this situation. There must be something we can do. And so, in other words, we're taking the responsibility and the blame for another person's irrational, unpredictable behaviour. In order to feel safe, we think there must be something we can do so we end up taking the blame and feeling like the behaviour is our fault, and that keeps us linked in even more, because we somehow believe that we must be able to make the situation better. So it's really important to realise that really this is point number one now is how to break this bond. And the first thing I've put is awareness. It's really to be aware of this chemical process that is going on. That is the first thing, because if we're aware of it, we can know that when we get that feeling of craving for this person, we can actually know what it is. And it's also important to know that this is the second point is to prepare yourself mentally, to kind of almost psych yourself up by knowing that this is going to be a tricky time. If you know in advance it's going to be difficult, you know what to expect and you're less likely to be pushed off course. So it's just being aware that actually they say that breaking away from an abusive relationship is even more difficult than like breaking a heroin addiction, depending on how long you've been with that person and other factors really. So that's really important to know, that your body is going to feel that pain, and it is going to be intense. So it's being aware of that and not allowing the intensity of that feeling to just send you straight back to the person that has caused the pain in the first place. Also, the third point I recommended was this one is just with a warning not to do if you are living with the abuser, or if there's a chance that they might find it, because that would be dangerous. But if not, or you could just keep a mental list of the reasons, in the ways in which this relationship is harming you. For example, is it harming other relationships with friends and family? Is it causing you to be distracted? Is it causing you to have accident due to being stressed and distracted? Is it causing you health benefits? Has something might have gone wrong? Are you finding that you're not feeling present when you're with other people? Are you feeling more fearful in day-to-day life? It's just really good to keep a mental note of actually, to remind yourself when you're feeling that sense of craving, so that the sense of craving is not so overpowering. The fourth point was learning to trust your body. So it might be that you've gone up like this, gone down like this, and the person is trying to come back and but really tuning into your body. Does this person feel safe to you? You know, no matter what they're saying, and really, how does it feel in your body? And the fifth point was to be aware of the two different voices. So you will have one voice that says, you know, that I really don't think this is going to work. You know, who am I kidding? You know, that this is, I know I don't trust this person. Look what they've done to me before. And there'll be another one that says, oh, but you know, what if? Let's give it another chance. How bad can it be? I think this time, or you know, let's just go along with the flow. There'll be these two conflicting voices, and really encourage you to listen to both of them. You know, honour both of them, and then just really honestly tune into your body and ask yourself. And what it's likely to be is that the voice that's telling you to go back to this person is offering you very short-term relief, but really the one that you want to listen to is the one that's, you know, the long-term solution. Just to quickly summarise, so intermittent reinforcement is a really strong driving force. We see it in animals that keeps us locked into a person, and it means that abusive relationships are more difficult to leave than one which didn't work out for other reasons. It's also the driving force behind gambling addictions, and also it's a large part of social media addiction. And really, to get away from it, we need to acknowledge that there's a real powerful force at play. It's not something that we can just, our mind is going to play tricks on us. So we really need to be prepared, and we really need to learn to trust ourselves and our body, which is really important. If you go to my website as well, feelingishealing.co.uk, there is a page on intermittent reinforcement under the menu option, which is called the Resource Centre. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, and also feel free to write a comment in the box and let me know if there's any topics you'd like to cover in future.